One thing I wanted to talk about today was religious extremism. Um, Welcome back to the channel, and let me get right into it. Religious extremism isn't always terroristic behavior, it's obsessive behavior and judging behavior and the holier than thou syndrome, you know, to take a scripture out of the Bible. Yeah, me of all people reading the scripture. For we all stand before the judgment seat of God. That's in Romans 14, verse 10. So every last one of us is going to be judged according to the scripture if you are a Christian. But no matter the denomination, you all have to have some sort of check and balance with yourselves. And the problem is, people that get into religion, especially if they've never been in before or they were raised in a family that's very religious overall, they tend to think they know more than the population. They tend to think that their religion predominates every single denomination. I mean, you have literally thousands of denominations of everything out there. I mean, hell, there's probably a new religion being created right now that nobody knows about. You can go from Scientology, you can go to Muslim, you can go to Judaism, you can go to Hinduism. I mean, some stuff is not supposed to be religions, it's supposed to be lifestyles, active, you know, spirituality, and so forth. And I'm going to try to keep it short. But the message that I want to get out there is like people have to stop judging others based off of their participation or non participation in a church. Just because somebody doesn't go to a church doesn't mean they're not seeking their higher power, their spirituality. And you can't judge somebody's religion just because you don't like it or you don't know it. I mean, it's just like judging people because of their skin color, their lifestyle. You have to understand that every part of the world did not go into Christianity. Some people think Christianity is the preeminent religion. Muslims will have something to say about that. Jews will have something to say about that. Buddhists will have something to say about that. We need to treat each other correctly. And you need to treat yourselves correctly, your own self, and stop showing this obsessive, extreme behavior every time you join a new church or you come into a new religion. I understand you may feel the glory and the word and all of this. And I understand that you fall in love with it. But a lot of that obsessive behavior turns out the wrong way. It never goes right, it goes south. I'll use my mother for an example because I lived it. She was a Catholic, you know, when I was born, when I was growing up. We used to celebrate Christmas, all that other stuff. I went to a Catholic church. I started off at a Catholic school. Then she became a Jehovah's Witness, and that's all she ever knew after that. It was like our family life fell apart. Do I blame them? Not necessarily, but I blame her obsessive behavior of them. And see, the problem is a lot of people find the truth in whatever religion that they go into, and it's just like a new relationship. All you thinking about is that person that you with. Oh my goodness, Tanya just lit my fire. Oh, Tina lit my fire. She's everything to me, and that's all you talk about. You're sitting over there typing up a letter at work or whatever, and it's like, you can't even get your job done correctly because you're thinking about the new girl that you're with. Some women can't even do their, hair without thinking about that guy and so forth. It There's a nostalgia that has to wear off after a while. and you have to come to real life. What if you fall in love with somebody that's a different religion? What if you already was a different religion? Like in the case of my mother, hell, my dad was a Baptist, so they already had divisions right there when they got married because she was already a Catholic. But the thing of it was, we stopped celebrating holidays like right away. All those birthday presents I used to get, no more. All those Christmas presents I used to get, no more. I used to go to school and exchange gifts and so forth. I couldn't do it anymore. It was just like cold turkey. No explanation or nothing. Nope, you're not doing this anymore. And then I resented her for that because it's like I didn't the doctrine went over my head as a kid. Because I didn't understand. It was like, oh, everything is happy now. All of a sudden, everything's suck and blow at the same time, and we can't do anything. You know, and she went from being somewhat of a happy person to this bitter, angry witch walking around the house and so forth. And a lot of it was her obsession with the religion to try to prove that she belonged, and she took it too far, and eventually, and my dad is responsible too because it takes two to tango. They separated after a while, because it was like, hold up, she did this complete 180-degree turn, and then that made my dad do a complete 180-degree turn, and then the kids in the house is like, you know, what the hell is going on? So, and I've seen that not just with them, Seventh day Adventists, insert religion here. Some one person in their house get obsessed with it, then they turn on everybody else in the house because everybody think they lost their mind or whatever. Not necessarily because of the religion, but because of how they're treating them and how they treating others. And it's funny because you see it on social media all the time. Somebody finds this new church or somebody finds God the first time or whatever. They put all these scriptures out there like you've never read these scriptures before. They obsess with, trying to tell everything that goes on in their church. They share the sermons. They judge people. Oh, Carl, you shouldn't be doing this. Oh, Carl, why are you eating this? That's gluttonous. Oh, Carl, you shouldn't be hanging out here. And it's like there's a way to reach people, and that ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Because obsession breeds regression. Soon as somebody gets totally obsessed with something, people tend to either, if they in that same plane, they'll go with you. But then if they're not, they're just going to be like, screw this person. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not focusing on the good parts of religion. You're focusing on all of the stuff that sounds good to you that you don't even practice, that you try to put on somebody else. So when I talk about religious extremism, that's where it comes from. It's like somebody believes in that religion so much that they lose sight of their family, they lose sight of their lives, they lose sight of their own humanity. They get to the point where they think they're above everybody else, and they get obsessed with putting stuff out there about the Lord that they don't follow themselves. I mean, I've seen it time after time after time, and not just social media, but just in real life. It's like this person is living their life like trash, but then they'd be the first one to say, hey, come to Mount Ebenezer Baptist Church and do this, you know? And it's like, if you're going to set an example, don't speak it, live it. I mean, people will eventually see what you're doing, and if they ask you, you know, then that's when you start explaining to them. And sometimes you can advertise and try to get people to see a whole nother way. But don't judge a person because they won't come to your religion because it might not be right for them. Now, how would you convince somebody to go to it? The first part is living your life correctly, not perfectly. Nobody's going to live their life perfectly. You're going to F up something and you're going to F it up bad. But you have to show that you are willing to, one, be responsible and be accountable. That's another thing that religious zealots don't do. And religious zealot, flip the words. It's the same thing. You have to have some sort of accountability with your life and what goes on around your life. And if you're not willing to take that step, why would you expect somebody to take that step with you? Because they're not judging that religion, they judging you in that religion when you talk to them about it. Because they're going to look at you with a more hypercritical eye than somebody else talking about it, because they know you. They don't know Tom. They don't know, Gene. They don't know, Mustafa, whoever. They don't know them. They know you. And they see you as the example. And if you're messing it up, they like, that's all right. I can create my own mess over here. But if they see you living right and not judging and actually trying to be accountable and stop being dismissive and actually do some of the stuff that you talk about or post out there, then maybe they'll follow you. That's as simple as that. You got to walk the walk and you got to talk the talk. You know, you got to walk with it first before you can talk about it. If you don't do that, you're losing people, man. You're not going to have friends around you like that. And then they like, well, if they're a true friend, then it shouldn't matter. Well, you got to show that it matters. You got to take the responsibility for it. Because if you're in that religion, you have to show people that it's worth giving a try and stop saying, and I love how they changed the lingo over time. Well, don't look at the messenger, look at the message. No, you got to look at both. Because if they're living what they're preaching, then there's no separation between the two. We understand that you're human and we understand that you make a mistake. But I would rather for you, when you make a mistake, own up to it and say, damn, I messed this up. You know, God forgive me, versus, you know, well, God will forgive me anyway for whatever I did. No, that's not the way that you approach stuff. Religious zealots take absolutely no responsibility for what they do in their lives. They will F up a whole lot of things and they would never, ever, or very seldom occasions take responsibility for something. They all put it on the devil. They all put it on, well, God will forgive me later, instead of just saying, I messed this up. God forgive me. Understand where I walked through and how I think and so forth. Give me another chance and let's do this the right way going forward. And if I misstep again, I'm going to ask for forgiveness again and I'm going to try to correct the wrong that I caused. Was that hard? It took me like 20 seconds to say that. A lot of them can't even get to that point. So when I talk about religious extremists, those are the ones that have that holier than thou attitude, the obsessive attitude with everything church related and religious related. And they forget about real life, that there are other humans that don't walk their path, that see the path that they took, and they realize, I don't want that. I mean, she kind of messed that up pretty bad over there. And he kind of, tore that down over there. I'm not following whatever the hell he's doing, because I kind of have more accountability and responsibility than that. So think about that before you try to throw your religious trash on somebody else without, checking yourself first. You know, make it religious treasure and walk that way and have other people see what you're doing and say, hey, maybe I want to get into that plane too, and do the same thing. Maybe I'll go to them and learn more about what they're doing and so forth. They live in a better life, they're happy, they straight up taking honest opinions and holding themselves accountable for everything that they do. Nice family. great structure in their life, maybe I'll follow that. Something to think about.